So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the very first session of the Ghost Hunting and Demonology 101 course. Probably not the best name for the course, but it does what it says on the tin, as it were. We're going to get started pretty casually. We are recording this so that people online will be able to listen to it later. I will send you all the links so that you can get the free downloads since you all took the time and money to be here. And for those of you out there, if you can come in for the future classes, keep in mind the recordings are free for people who actually pay to attend. So we're going to get things started, mostly because I want to get an idea of where people are at by doing a pop quiz. Yes, I know I'm evil. And again, it's not credit, it's not anything, I just want to see what people know. I'm not going to make you write everything down and you just say, if you know the answer, just tell me the answer. Okay? Let's see, where do we start? Was she originally the first wife of Adam, or was she, and if not, what was she originally? You want to take a guess? I'll tell you now, his answer is actually factually wrong. I have no idea. Fair enough, and that's kind of the idea here. In point of fact, in the oldest legends about her in Judaic mythology, she's simply the mother of demons. The idea that she, and we'll be getting to this in the history, next week's class, in fact, the idea that she was the first wife of Adam came in around the time of Christ. If you want to go back a little further, the name comes from Babylonian mythology, which would be a type of demon Babylonians believed in called the Liltu, who were basically succubi.
So, Professor, why do we need to know this?
Because it's historical demonology, and as I was saying earlier, it's very useful to know a little bit about the history and the folklore. You never know when it's going to come up. To give you a perfect example, one of the more disturbing cases I did, we had a demon that called itself Amun. Do either of you know who Amun is? Have you ever heard of Amun Ra? So here's the thing. The chief god of Egyptian mythology is Ra, the sun god. In the older Egyptian mythology, there is another god called Amun. As well, there's Ra, who's the sun god, and there's Amun, who's the god of secrets and darkness. He's not necessarily evil, but he has a lot of traits in common with the demon. When this came up, I had no idea who that was. And I had to go to one of my friends who specialized in Egyptology and go, have you ever heard of this guy? It sounds familiar. This is why it's wrong. Because it comes in handy to know when a demon gives you a weird-ass name, what is it talking about? Or if a spirit, you get an EVP and the spirit gives you a name, is this something somebody's written about before? The other side of which is most of the time if a spirit gives you a name, it's not its real name. Because of course names have power. Which, again, this is more sneak peek than anything else. Okay, there we go. And this is a relatively easy one, hopefully a relatively easy one with more recent history. Can anybody tell me who investigated the Borley Rectory? Borley Rectory. Again, this is not to make you feel stupid. Nope, they weren't even born yet. I don't think.
Figured I'd take an easy shot.
There's a guy by the name of... Now I'm blanking on his name. Harry Price. Price, as far as I know, as far as I've ever found, is the man that the word Ghostbuster was originally coined by. He's, well, arguably not the very, very first. He's more or less the first person we know to start applying science to the idea of investigating ghosts. The Borley Rectory was famously known until it burned down in the early part of the 20th century as the most haunted house in England. Okay, and I think I've had enough of making everybody go, wait, I don't know all this stuff. But the point is, and you ask a very legitimate question, Jordan, which is, why is this relevant? I mean, we have a 30-session class class here, and I'm going to start going over the syllabus in a minute. And why is half of it dedicated to things that don't actually involve practical investigation? You know, it's the first half is going to be history, folklore, religion, and other things. And it's like, why do people need to know this stuff? There's a couple of reasons. There's a reason I designed the course the way that I did. And it wasn't just to shamelessly pet it out to make more money, which is the obvious thing I think most people looking at it probably going, oh, he just wants more money, so he's going to add more classes. The reality is, I've been doing this. So, okay, let me start by explaining who I am. I mean, most of you know, but for the people listening, and Ray, to make you aware, my name is Kevin Mears. I'm a demonologist and paranormal investigator. What makes me that? I have been at this for more than 20 years. I was trained by a gentleman by the name of Lou Gentili. Lou was the last student to be trained by Ed Lorraine Warren before its passing in 2006. For those of you who do not know, Ed Warren was the only layperson in the world, at least in the United States, possibly the world, recognized as a demonologist by the Roman Catholic Church. There are supposedly, at the time... This was a contemporary one, and I thought... Again, I always assume when I'm giving lectures or doing classes that I'm dealing with a smart audience. Because in my experience, I usually get... I've been always very blessed when I do lectures to get very smart people. So I prefer to assume people are smart, especially for contemporary things. So I went for the really obscure stuff you are less likely to know. But my point is, this stuff does actually come up. There are times when obscure Babylonian folklore from 2,000 years ago might be relevant to a modern case, because there are demons that call themselves by the name of Babylonian gods. There are demons that call themselves by the name of Babylonian demons. Point in fact, Pazuzu. We've all seen The Exorcist, yeah? There's a whole level that a lot of people don't realize of how much research went into that movie. Because Pazuzu was a Babylonian demon associated with plague and disease. He was also a protector of children. His wife, Lamatsu, was a figure very similar to Lilith or Succubi, who would attack children in the night and kill them. So parents would call on her husband to keep her in line. So there's a whole concept that's running throughout that movie of evil fighting evil. And the reality is that there were two Jesuit priests that were technical advisors on the movie The Exorcist. So they did make some effort to know what they're talking about. They just had, for that matter... Okay, speaking of The Exorcist... that sounded like tubular bells.
That was actually called.
Ah. Although it's still hard. So, and that's kind of the point is, knowledge. There's a great quote from the Bible, and I'm always terrible about remembering where in the Bible these quotes are. It says, "My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge." It's relatively easy to figure out how to do an EVP. You can buy an audio recorder, go out and try and do it, and you can figure out most of what you need to do in about 5 to 10 minutes. There's some serious mistakes you can do with that, which is why there's a whole session we're going to do about how to do EVP properly and how to do EVP safely. But the reality is, if you want to go get evidence of a spirit, you just need to find a haunted house and keep trying. Eventually something is going to happen and you will probably regret it, which is why, again, we'll talk about protection. We'll talk about all the practical things you need to know.